The Water Department says it's laid criminal charges against 7 municipalities failing to submit corrective action plans. A Blue Drop interim report released today has found that the quality of South Africa's drinking water is on the decline. This has been blamed on a lack of infrastructure maintenance as well as poor compliance levels. The report comes as South Africa is battling a cholera outbreak which has so far killed 26 people. More than 20 in fact of those who've died so far are in Hammanskraal, which is the epicenter of the outbreak. Well, let's talk more about the reports released today with the Water Department's Director General, Dr. Phillips. Dr. Phillips, a very good evening to you. A pleasure to have you with us on News at Prime. So, after so many reports which have set out what needs to be done to sort out the water problems and quality issues in South Africa, why are there still so many problems in the system?
Well, unfortunately, our reports are showing that the quality of municipal water and sanitation services are declining, despite the fact that the national government is giving a lot of support to municipalities. We are intervening in many municipalities through our minister, where we agree on improvement plans, and we provide the municipality with funding from our grants to address some of the infrastructural problems. But we think that's not enough. We need to do a couple of additional things. We need to strengthen our role as the regulator. We need to pull up our socks more as the national department, as the regulator of the water sector. We need to make sure our regulatory protocols are implemented consistently, always. And we are in the process of producing revised norms and standards, more comprehensive ones for municipal norms and standards. But now also, because these measures that I've mentioned aren't being successful in reversing the decline, we are also looking at some possible amendments to the Water Services Act, which would involve strengthening the separation between the water services authorities. We have 144 water services authorities in the country, which are the municipalities appointed to be responsible for water services.
Mm-hmm.
The water services...
Pardon me, DG, you speak of strengthening your role as the regulator, pulling up your socks. Does that suggest that as the department, there's an acknowledgement tonight that somewhere along the lines, you too have dropped the ball?
To some extent, yes. We don't always consistently take regulatory measures, so we don't always timelessly enough all over the country send directives and warning letters to municipalities, and also we don't then, if they don't respond, take criminal action timelessly and sufficiently frequently against municipalities. But we're in the process of addressing that. Mm-hmm. But more importantly is that at municipal level, the water services authorities, in terms of the Water Services Act, are supposed to separate themselves from the water service provider at municipal level, and the Water Services Authority is supposed to monitor the water service providers and ensure that water service providers provide services to standards, and that's not happening. So we want to strengthen that differentiation between the Water Services Authority and water service provider. We're looking at potentially introducing operating licenses for water service providers and making it a law that only licensed water service providers can be appointed by municipalities, and that the minister can intervene if a municipality doesn't appoint a licensed water service provider. Mm.
And compliance is a massive issue, along with follow-up, right? Because you said that in the 2022 full Green Drop report, you had identified at the time some 334 wastewater systems which were in critical condition. Break that down then, 168 of the 334 then received, well, basically, the department received corrective action plans from those municipalities, but only 43 of the ones who requested help from the department actually did anything with the help that you were offering, basically bothered to even implement what had been agreed to. Whose fault is that?
Just to correct that, what we said is that by March of this year, which is a year later, only that proportion of the municipalities had started to implement. The implementation process takes some time. They have to develop plans to address the the problems. Sometimes that involves infrastructure projects which have to be designed and to go out on tender. So I'm sure many more of the municipalities will start implementing during the course of this year. But what is more worrying is that only 50% of the municipalities which were found to have wastewater treatment systems in a critical condition have actually submitted corrective action plans to us. And that's what worries us the most. So we have sent directives to those municipalities, instructing them again to send us corrective action plans. And if necessary, we might need to resort to legal action against municipalities to force them to develop corrective action plans to address the problems with their wastewater treatment systems, especially the ones that are in a critical condition.
You say you may have to resort to criminal charges, but some of the reporting earlier said that criminal charges had in fact been laid. What is the status exactly? Have you already approached police for some sort of recourse?
We currently have criminal charges against 7 municipalities, but those are for various reasons. They largely relate to municipalities which are severely polluting the environment through their wastewater treatment works. We haven't yet laid criminal charges against all those municipalities which haven't yet submitted the corrective action plans to us. The stage that we're at in terms of the regulatory process is to issue them with directives, and the next stage after that would be to take further measures such as laying criminal charges.
Which are the municipalities, the 7, where you've already gone the legal route and charges have been laid?
In the Free State, it's Mokaga local municipality and Ngwati local municipality. In Gauteng, it's the Tshwane Metro, the Rand West local municipality, the Merafong local municipality. In Limpopo, it's the Sekhukhune district municipality and Mogalakwena local municipality. In Mpumalanga, it's the Emalahleni local municipality, the Lekwa local municipality, and the Msugalihwa local municipality. In Leiden, in Mpumalanga, it's also the Tabatue municipality and the Dipalaseng municipality, and in the Western Cape, it's the Kanaland local municipality.
From the list you're giving us, then, Director General, it suggests that where you've had the most serious problems, Mpumalanga is top of that list. Do we know why? Well,
the problems are in all the provinces across the country. For example, in our Blue Drop reports, interim Blue Drop reports which we issued today, with regard to the quality of drinking water, we found that the Northern Cape province was the worst performing province. So if you look at our reports, you'll see that there's the general picture across the country is one of deterioration of municipal water and sanitation services, there are a number of provinces where many of the municipalities are not performing well in terms of their water and sanitation services.
Right. I was merely referencing the list that you were just outlining where charges have already been brought forward. But lastly, yes, while you pursue the route of accountability, what are the implications for the communities that have to rely on these municipalities for clean drinking water? I mean, Hammanskraal is the example that comes to mind, where we see clearly what happens when there isn't clean, safe drinking water for people.
So in Hammanskraal, what is happening is that the Tshwane municipality has correctly warned its residents that they can't drink the tap water because the tap water coming from their Tembo water treatment works which they've been testing, doesn't meet drinking water standards because the raw water resource from which that water is drawn is too heavily polluted by the malfunctioning Rooiwal wastewater treatment works. So Tshwane have done the correct thing in terms of warning their residents that they can't drink that water until such time as the problems with the wastewater treatment works and the water treatment works are addressed. All municipalities need to do the same thing. They're all required by law to regularly test their water and to inform and warn their residents if their water doesn't meet drinking water standards.
Director General of the Water Department, Phillips, good to speak to you, sir. Thank you for your time tonight.